as a Raider fan, I've been used to this for a long time. This is very typical. I had a little glimmer of hope up 17-0. I kind of knew when they kicked that field goal going into half that we were in trouble. But I will say, and I said this on a text chain to you, Sal, yesterday with Trevor. At this point, I hate the Chiefs fans. There is nobody worse in sports than the Chiefs fans. I don't know if it was ESPN. I don't know what ESPN was doing last night. The mic on that crowd. I mean, maybe, was that the loudest crowd of all time, or was that Matt? I had to put my volume at like 30.
We'll get into it, but they booed every single play, even when the Chiefs had the ball. They booed, like the Chiefs would get 9 yards to whoever, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and they would boo. Like it's weird.
Have they done that recently in all sports? Because I noticed too in the Mets-Padres game, it sounded like there was loud booing throughout the whole course of the game. Like I didn't know what was going on. But the Chiefs fans, look. Granted, I will say terrible roughing the passer call on Jones, but as a Raider fan and you guys know this as a Cowboys fan, we get screwed all the time with bad penalties. So what?
Oh, they made up for it.
You had one penalty in the second, right? So all right, terrible call, but. Now all of the talk shows, all they are doing is talking about the roughing the passer. Right. How about the inconsequential, like the holding call on a field goal, which, by the way,
defensive holding.
Had the last time, at least what I saw on Twitter, the last time that was called in the NFL, a holding on a field goal, and again, I mean, this might not be right, but what I saw was 2015 was the last time that was called, and it was called against the Raiders. And I don't care. But then you have Chiefs fans on Twitter defending that. Come on. I mean, it's garbage. There's plenty of stuff. So I don't know. I was just so annoyed.
Well, we could go over these one by one because, like I said, there's about 35 controversial moments. Harry, let's start with the roughing the passer. I know you don't want to talk about it. We should, because it's funny. Like when someone like Aikman goes nuts and says we got to take the dresses off, which is he's getting a lot of crap for that today. But I don't know. Like when my son, who plays defensive end in high school, turns and says, wait, isn't that how you tackle a guy? It's like, yeah, that's how you tackle a guy. Now, Harry, what were your thoughts?
I just listened to Jones's interview after the game. He's like, I'm a 345-pound guy.
Yeah,
what am I supposed to do?
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, what am I supposed? And that was just such a terrible call. But the holding on the defense, on the Raiders, I
want to take it one by one because we have like 7.
Yeah. Just right. That was
roughing
so
the passer.
bad.
Yes,
but it was. But I mentioned in the text chain with us, I said, Bri, I mean, the Raiders never get calls like that. They just never do. No, so at that point, you had to be like, all right, well, we definitely got one there. So let's keep going with this Carr and Adams, and let's keep rolling on the offense. We got a great call here.
There's 2 more, and they did capitalize. I mean, they kept the ball, right, which is the big one. Paulie, the one thing that people are saying is the ball was stripped before the infraction, if there's even an infraction. I think it was close. I think he had the ball before they hit the turf for sure, but I don't know. I don't know what to do with this, putting all your weight on a guy. I'm not sure how he's supposed to. If he leaves his feet, you're putting all your weight on him too. I'm not sure what you're supposed to do if you're a big guy trying to make a tackle in this league.
Well, I know the way to fix this is just make every play reviewable. You get certain challenges, and you could challenge that call.
But I didn't think they'd overturn it with the way the league is protecting the quarterbacks.
I think they would have overturned that call. I think they would have had to have overturned that call. They would have had to overturn
5-hour games. But then there's going to be 5 hours.
But now, Harry, you keep Harry, you don't change the amount of challenges. You keep the amount of challenges, but you make any call challengeable, especially these ones that can change games. Pass interference calls or non-pass interference calls. And those type of calls, you should be able to challenge those calls. I
don't know what honestly, because I think there's a new narrative sent down to the referees as much as we want to blame them. They're like, hey, call anything's close with this concussion thing. We saw the ridiculous sack of Brady that was called. Like, I kind of think that it's even beyond the officials. I think they're getting word from up above.
But if they have challenged that Brady call, it probably would have gotten overturned. I don't know. I don't think those
based on the rule. Yes,
in real time, those things look worse.
Yeah,
in real time.
Yeah,
You got to be able to review those calls. It's as simple as that. You get your challenges. If you want to save them for plays like that, that's how it should be. That play would have 100% have been overturned just for the fact that Carr was not even in possession of the Mahomes. Is not in possession of the ball.
Carr. Carr didn't have it. Yeah,
I'm like going back. My mind.
I know it's confusing.
So you might get to this again in another point, but I will like yesterday too, right?
By the way, take a look at this. This is a guy I know. This is a guy I know from Brooklyn. Can you see his name? Chris Jones is calling me. This guy craps in the middle of the street. It's a friend of mine from Brooklyn.
That?
But anyway, Chris Jones is who we're talking. That's very strange.
Yeah, a friend of yours that craps in the middle of the street is very common. It seems like that seems like something we do. But the NFL,
he won't
like
stop.
even in yesterday's game though, they have been doing this where the officials get together and they have this like quick expedited review. Like yesterday on the intentional grounding on Carr. They got together for a good 30 seconds, and the official stood there waiting for somebody up top to tell him that was grounding. Now, couldn't they do that why couldn't they do that like on that roughing the passer or on something else? Have somebody just quickly say, "Hey guys, just pick up the flag." Same with the holding at the end of the game. Get together quickly and be like, "We really want to call this?" I mean, there's just too many. I mean, they were terrible.
All right, listen, whatever you're betting, teasers, over, under, do it through Caesars because they have all the names. Caesar himself, Cleo, the Mannings, Henrik Lundqvist, and now yours truly. Yes, Against All Odds is now a proud member of the Caesars empire. And you know what it is that sets Caesars Sportsbook and Casino apart from the others? It's the perks. It's the only sports betting app with Caesars rewards. So every time you place a bet, win or lose, you get reward credits, which you could use towards game tickets, bonuses, experience, free stays at iconic Caesars destinations, and more. And your very first bet, check this out, Harry. It's on Caesars. Up to $1,250. If you win, congrats. If you don't, you'll get it all back as a free bet. That first bet also gives you 1,000 tier credits and 1,000 reward credits, putting you closer to the types of perks only Caesars can offer. So download the app, use promo code CZRFULL, and go full Caesars this season. All right, here we go. Stanley Cup odds right here on Caesars. Colorado 4-1, Toronto 9-1, Carolina 10-1, the Rangers 10-1, Lightning 12-1, and also 12-1. My pick, the Edmonton Oilers. I really think they might have been the second best team. Is Spaghetti here? He doesn't want to hear this. They might have been the second best team in the NHL last year. And I feel like I know they have the high flying, high power offensive, output, which is not conducive to playoff style, but I think they're back. They really just slugged it out with the wrong team in Colorado. They did well against Calgary, and they're going to advance far this year. McDavid, obviously, Draisaitl, another 50-goal scoring year. And then they did a nice thing. They signed Evander Kane, 4-year deal for Kulak. They're going to be good. And their goalie situation is as good as it's been in years. They got the local kid, Stuart Skinner, is backing up. You got the Mike Smiths of the world out of there. Jack Campbell should do a good enough job in the net. Nice 1-2 punch there for Edmonton, 12-1 to win the cup. Harry, what are you going with?
I'm kind of being boring here, but I think the Avalanche repeat at 4-1. They were basically flawless in their run to the cup last year, going 16-4 in the playoffs last year. Plenty of the high-flying offensive players and defensive players returned to this team. Mikko Rantanen led the team in scoring last year. He's an assist machine, as we noticed during the playoffs. Left wingers Gabriel Landeskog and JT Compher are back too, and of course Nate McKinnon. 30-plus goals for the last 5 seasons. He's got 45 or more assists in 5 straight seasons. This Avs team still very much loaded. I'm going to take him at 4-1 to repeat.
All right, that is boring, right, Parlay Kid? Boring pick, the Avs.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
But they're so good.
I like to sit here and argue with that pick, but they were certainly dominant last year. So I couldn't really get too crazy on Harry for that.
Who do you like?
Well, look, here's what I like here, and I've been really since the end of last year. Normally, Sal, in hockey, I like teams that kind of take steps, right, to the championship. Usually, They break through, they win a round or two, then the next year a little further, then the next year a little further. That's why I'm taking the Florida Panthers, who have really been a total letdown in the playoffs the last few years. And I could be wrong because maybe I wasn't looking at it too closely. But this is a team, Sal, that has, I think, is projected, at least in terms of if you were betting the amount of points they were going to have, I think they're right behind the Avalanche in terms of points. But yet, for Stanley Cup odds, they're like 8th, right, in the odds. Right. So I think you're getting great value here with just from the value side of a team like the Panthers, who have slightly retooled because they moved their highest scoring player in Huberdeau to the Flames for a guy who I love, and Matthew Tkachuk, who I think brings not only he's coming off a career year for himself at the age of 27. He's in the prime of his career, but I just think he brings a little bit more of an edge to his game as well that the Panthers might need. So they don't really lose the scoring, but they also get a little edge here. Their goaltending situation, they've had Bobrovsky is good, but they have a young kid named Spencer Knight, which I think he's going to overtake, and I think he's going to star this year, making this Panthers team even better. At 15-1, I'm taking a Panthers team that led the league in points last year. They just got to get it done in the playoffs, and I think they've added a little grit. Let's take the Florida Panthers at 15-1.